I'm not going to switch over to World of Warships. Instead of doing World of Warships, I am going to just do, I am going to keep doing command, but instead of doing that, I'm going to do some scenario work, but not on the scenario I started a couple weeks ago here on the live stream. So this is, well, Chasse de Sous Marine. Please excuse my awful, awful butchering of the French name. This was the scenario I started, back in June here on the live stream, and then I've been kind of working on it ever since. I got a little bit distracted there working on the Iran strike scenario and getting a public version of that available. But this here is version, or I should say beta 2 of it. So the big changes I've made here is that I've balanced out a couple of the scripts. I was going to be implementing a weather system into this for random weather, until I realized that the triggers are not what I thought they were. And so right now I've got all the weather events disabled. However, what I've decided to do is I have added some, basically what amounts to indirect air support for the player. So for instance, over here, the player doesn't actually get to ever see these aircraft. They're just kind of there in the background. What I have is some fighters based over here at Bascom Down. I've got some Voyager KC-3 tankers at Bryce Norden, and then I've got some AWA or some E3s over here at RAF Waddington. And essentially, what they do is they're going to be providing air support to basically help take out any Atlantics or anything like that that might be interfering. But like everything in the scenario, it's going to be randomized. So I'm going to be doing just a little bit of scripting here. I have everything in place. I have the mission set up, the aircraft that I'm going to be using in here. And then I've sort of done, to counter that, I've also done something similar for the French in that I've added over here at Avord, I've added some French E3s. Down here at Mont de Marsan, I have I have French Air Force Rafales, and then I've got their version of the KC-3, the Airbus A330, which is the same airframe, I believe. Over here at Istra 2, I'm not sure exactly how to. Again, please excuse my awful, awful butchering of French. And then it's going to be the same thing. They what just like um, well, I guess I should go over for anybody who doesn't know is that everything in the scenario is randomized. So essentially, at the beginning of the scenario, there's actually nothing assigned um, to any of these missions. So, for instance, the ASW Air mission, which is the Atlantic mission, there's actually nothing assigned. And when the scenario's been run for a couple of seconds, what happens is that it randomly assigns 1 through 24 of these Atlantics to this mission. And so what I'm going to have is I'm going to have one, I'm going to keep that role, and then I'm going to have another one which will determine whether that mission actually gets activated or not. I'll have another role and that'll determine how many of the support aircraft get assigned to their missions and whether those missions get activated or not. And then it'll be the same thing for the player. So, yeah, yeah, betas are betas. Just things have been going. I actually hadn't noticed anything in any of the scenarios I've played the last couple of days with this with these betas, so not quite sure what's up there with Operation Vantage. So I'm going to do a little bit of scripting here. So I have, so this is the French Maritime Patrol aircraft script that randomly assigns things to the mission. So I'm going to copy this. And so let's start with, I guess, so the AEW mission is already active. That stays active. Same. So let's start with the Raphaels, I guess. Excuse me. So I have Raphaels 1 through 24. So, and actually I want to take the title here. So we'll call this change up the naming here. That's fighter assigned a mission script. So Atlantic. I want this to be Raphael number, and it will get assigned to mission. Friends, AAW Air. All right. So for those that don't know how this script works, essentially it's a 1 to 14 roll. So these are right over here, these are the 14 possible outcomes. So if it rolls a 1, 2, 3, or 4, none of these aircraft will get assigned to a mission. If it rolls a 5, 6, 7, or 8, then 4 get assigned to a mission. If it rolls 9 or 10, then 8 get assigned to the mission. And then 12, 16, 20, and then if it rolls a 14, then 24 will get assigned to the mission. But I think I want to rework this just a little. Do I want to rework that? No. I think for the time being, I'm going to leave that as it is, and then if need be, I can always balance it later. And actually, I'm not going to actually activate the tanker missions because I don't think those are actually going to be needed. I think the air battle for this is going to be something that happens within the first few hours of this scenario, maybe. No, you know what? Might as well activate it. I already added them. So we will have another one here. And actually, you know what? I'm only going to randomize the fighters and the patrol aircraft. The refueling mission will already be active. It's always gonna have 2 assigned to it. So same with the AEW. So we'll always have 2 of these tankers up at a time. There's really no reason to randomize these. Their operating areas outside of the engagement envelope for the U.S. fighters anyway. So AEW. All right, I like that. And then all right, so I don't need those. So AEW and refueling are active. And then let's switch back to the USA and UK Air. So same thing here is that this mission is going to be active. And it's always going to have 2 tankers active at a time. Now for the player's air support, I've gone with a split of 12 Typhoons and 12 of the United Kingdom F-35Bs. And I may change this out. I may just switch this over to all Typhoons if the F-35, maybe that's what I'm going to do. Maybe I'll actually replace. a little split on this. I think the F-35 is going to be a little overpowered, I guess, for this scenario, and then I think the F-35 will just kind of wipe the floor with the against those Raphaels. So what I'm gonna do is go here, and I'm just gonna remove. Oh, wrong menu. Um, Edit aircraft. Just remove all the Typhoons and Raphaels. So go over here, go to United Kingdom, Typhoon. There we go. So 24 Typhoons should work. All right, so now we'll take this random script here, and I want to go down because I do have this at least somewhat organized here. So these are my random weather scripts, which are kind of scrapped at the moment. So we'll call this US, UK, fighter assigned a mission script. Call it assign Typhoon, US, UK, air to air. Oh. All right. So we got those. All right. Just pop back over to France to make sure that the naming is right, which it is. Okay. Don't need so many extra spaces. All right. So this will do the same thing for the US and UK Typhoons, is it'll randomly assign a random number between 1 and 14, or between 0 and 24, I guess, to the mission. And then, actually, I want to take this script here. This doesn't belong here. Got this file somewhat organized to be the French stuff up here at the top, and then down towards the bottom is the US stuff. All right. Call this just mission active inactive role. So what this script does is it randomly assigns either a 0 point or a 1 point to the French side. Now what happens, now I'm going to create another trigger in game that when the points equals 1, then these air missions are active. When it's 0, these missions are inactive. And actually, maybe that's not what I want to do. I want to do that, but I don't want there to always be a chance that those Atlantics basically have an escort. Maybe there's a chance that the ASW mission gets activated, but not the France air-to-air. So with that, can I assign to mission? It doesn't look like I can. All right. So what that means is I'm going to change this up a little bit. So I'm going to assign France Call this France ASW. France ASW. And then call that okay. So reworking this a little bit here. So then I'll have a second role. What this will do, air AAW air war. So we'll have two scripts that'll actually run on the same trigger, but if this one equals 0, then you'll have Atlantics that are not escort that are activated. If this one is activated, then you'll have fighters or no fighters. So this script here is always run at the beginning of the scenario, no matter what. What this script up here does determines whether that those missions are actually active or not. And all right. And then so I need the same thing here. Down for my player side. Now for this, I can do so helps if I can type right. So I am going to have a bunch of just dummy sides here, but that's okay. I'm not too worried about that. I use dummy sides a lot in these scenarios. All right. So that being said, so air to air, that'll assign the mission. Okay. So we can save that. So let's do the French first. And actually, I've been going for about an hour and a half here, so I'm going to take a quick break and probably about 5 minutes here, go refill my drink, and then I will come back and actually set up these missions and these scripts here. And I am back. So, where was I? Missions. So, we'll do the French here first. So first I will create, I'm gonna move those scripts since I'm kind of done with those. I just need those for references. Off to the side. So events, actions. And I'm gonna rename this to MPA spawn. Aircraft. I want to be a little bit more descriptive in my triggers here. Surface ship spawn. Okay. Runs SSN. So MPA. So I need another Lua action. Create. So France, assign a fighter to a mission. June 25, which is the start date, 0900, 01, France. Fighter. Assigned to mission. And actually, take out that. Just naming, not going to be meh. Just to update there, yeah. All right, so France fighter assigned to mission. All right, got that. France A8W. Okay, so that takes care of ASW air active, inactive. Those are going to need to be changed a little bit. So fighter assigned a mission, MPA assigned a mission. Checking chat real quick. All right, so assign to mission. While I'm here, I will also do the US and UK assigned to mission script. June 25, 0900, 01, US, UK. Assign fighter to mission. All right. So I got that. Into a 50900, all right. So now it's time to do the mission roles itself. These are the actions. So yeah, so France ASW air active. So what I need is another change mission status. US, UK. Did I put? US, UK. kind of blanking out here. Sorry, guys. Mission AAW active. Use UK Air. AAW set to active. Copy that. We'll call this inactive. I don't think I need the well, I will need the inactive. So what my plan here is that every, I think 9 hours, I think I decided, is that this script of whether the mission is active or not will get rolled. And this is, I'm kind of doing this to kind of simulate maybe aircraft having other priorities, giving other missions, kind of things way outside the scope of this scenario. So that's why I'm going to run this mission, this every 9 hours. But this script here will only get run at the beginning. And really, this is, I mean, I don't have to do any of this, but I kind of like the outside support that's outside the player's control, especially in this because if all 24 of those Atlantics gets fired, I mean that's a lot of ASW aircraft in such a small area. Granted, they're not all going to be up at the same time, but I've played through this scenario a couple of times myself, and it's actually rather difficult having to deal with not only the surface assets, the submarines in the area, but having to deal with the maritime patrol aircraft on top of that. I mean, this is just the bastion from hell to try and infiltrate. That's why I bumped this up from a 24-hour scenario to a 3-day scenario, and I've actually rebalanced it so instead of the player having four subs, the player gets has a better chance of getting 6 or 8. There's still a chance of getting 4, but there's a better chance of getting 6 or 8 subs, which is kind of a reversal of what I originally had. So, but getting way off point here, I guess with that. All right, so back into the actions menu. Down here. So those are missions active, inactive. Did I not have, these are just the change status, right? Yeah. And actually, I still need those. Originally, these Helo Strike inactive were originally set up for if there was bad weather, then these missions weren't going to trigger. And I still may come back at some point and actually implement these weather scripts, but with how the scripting currently is in command, I would actually have to double for every one of these. I would actually have to have a another kind of companion event to it. And so I already have 96 weather events, so I would have to create another 96 more. Um, Essentially, what I would have to do is I'd have to actually add a point to a side, and that extra point would then trigger the weather change. And that's just a lot of work that I'm not sure is really going to be worth it for this scenario. I do have plans to use implementing this later, but into a couple of other scenarios, but probably not this one. But I'm going to keep it here because I've already added them and I may change my mind and don't want to have to redo them. Anyways, getting way off balance here.